So, you know that feeling, that relationship that starts with this incredible magnetic pull, but then it just dissolves into this painful push and pull dynamic? It's one of the most common and honestly one of the most confusing patterns in love. And today we're going to break down exactly what's going on. Let's get into it. It all kicks off with something we can call the magnetism of misalignment. You've seen this, right? It's that powerful initial spark where two people feel like they're the missing puzzle piece for each other. You've got one person who's super warm and expressive, and the other is just so cool, calm, and self-reliant. On the surface, it looks like the perfect match. But here's the catch. That amazing magnetism is often hiding a much deeper conflict just waiting to surface. And that conflict? Well, it leads us straight into what's known as the Anxious-Avoidant Trap. This is the heart of the problem. What starts out as this beautiful dance, it turns sour and fast. See, one partner's totally normal need for closeness starts to feel suffocating, almost threatening to the other. So what do? They pull away. And that withdrawal, it hits the anxious partner's biggest fear button, abandonment. And boom, you're stuck in a vicious, painful cycle. So let's really dig into this magnetic trap. I mean, why? Why are these two completely opposite styles so drawn to each other? The answer is, it's fascinating, but it's also a little tough to swallow. The truth is, it's almost always an unconscious attempt to go back and heal old wounds from our childhood. Yeah, think of it like this. The relationship becomes this stage. And on that stage, we start reenacting these old, familiar, and often painful emotional scripts from when we were kids. The anxious person, they see the avoidant strength and independence and think, wow, that feels so safe. And the avoidant partner, they're drawn to the anxious partner's warmth and energy. Deep down, without even realizing it, they're both hoping the other person will finally give them what they never got as a child. But instead of healing, they just end up recreating the exact same problem all over again. Okay, so to really get this, we have to look at the two very different core wounds that are driving all of this. And this is so important. This isn't about pointing fingers. There's no good guy or bad guy here. It's just about two completely different survival strategies that worked in childhood, but are now clashing big time in their adult relationship. And this chart, wow, it just lays it all out so clearly. Look at the opposition here. On one side, you have the Anxious-Preoccupied, let's call them the AP. Their core belief, deep down, is I'm unlovable. And their biggest fear? Abandonment. So their strategy is to activate. They pursue, they cling, they do whatever it takes to feel secure. Then you have the Dismissive-Avoidant, the DA. Totally opposite core belief. My own thoughts will keep me safe. Their greatest fear is being engulfed or controlled. So what's their strategy? To deactivate. They withdraw, they create distance. It's a perfect storm. So let's zoom in on the anxious partner's wound for a second. This usually comes from a childhood where care was, well, inconsistent. Sometimes mom or dad was warm and loving, and other times they were just gone, emotionally or physically. That kind of unpredictability creates what we call a hyperactive attachment system. So as an adult, they're constantly on high alert, always scanning for the tiniest sign of rejection. That's why when they feel insecure, they resort to these activating strategies, protesting, clinging. They're basically turning up the volume on their emotions because, as a kid, that's the only way they learn to get their needs met. And then, on the flip side, you have the avoidant partner's wound. This often grows out of a home where emotions were basically dismissed or ignored. The child learned a really painful lesson. When I show my feelings, I get rejected. So their brain, in a pretty brilliant move of self-preservation, adapts. It starts to value thinking way more than feeling. There's a psychological term for it, defensive exclusion. It means they literally learn to shut off their own need for love. So when intimacy starts to feel too close for comfort, they hit the eject button with deactivating strategies. They'll withdraw, bury themselves in work, or even start finding little flaws in their partner to justify pushing them away. So you take these two very different childhood survival kits and you throw them into an adult relationship. And what do you get? You get the classic, absolutely exhausting push-pull dance. It's just a total roller coaster of, come here, go away. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? The central misunderstanding that fuels this entire painful cycle. How on earth does a simple, loving bid for connection get twisted into a life or death threat? This is where the bench analogy is just perfect for explaining the disconnect. Picture it. Two people are sitting on a park bench. The anxious partner turns and says, "Hey, let's scoot a little closer." For them, what does that mean? It's a bid for love, right? It's about connection, reassurance. But the avoidant partner's brain, it hears a completely different message. It doesn't hear, "Let's get closer." It hears, "You are losing your space." It feels like a huge obligation, a threat to their independence. It's like the request isn't to scoot over, but to get off the bench entirely. So what happens next? The avoidant partner, feeling threatened, pulls away to get their space back, to restore their sense of self. And that withdrawal, it's like pouring gasoline on the anxious partner's fire. It confirms their absolute worst fear of abandonment. They get emotionally hijacked and start pursuing even harder. And that intense pursuit, well, that's all the proof the avoidant partner needs to say, "See, I knew it. Intimacy is a chaotic trap," which makes them pull away even further. It is a perfect and perfectly painful loop. Okay, but listen, it does not have to stay this way. This is the hopeful part. We're going to shift gears now from just describing the problem to actually talking about the solution. There is a path forward. It's called earned security. And yeah, it's hard work, I'm not going to lie, but it is absolutely 100% possible. This whole journey is built on a simple 3-pillar model. Think of it as a framework to help reorganize not just your own mind, but the relationship itself. The 3 pillars are positive remapping, metacognitive skills, and collaborative skills. So, pillar number 1 is positive remapping. What does that even mean? Well, it involves using specific tools like guided visualizations to basically install new positive emotional memories. For the anxious partner, this is all about building that sense of self-worth from the inside so they stop needing it so desperately from the outside. And for the avoidant partner, it's about creating a new mental blueprint where closeness finally feels safe instead of threatening. Next up, pillar 2. Metacognitive skills. Fancy term, right? But all it really means is learning how to think about your thinking. It's about stepping back and observing your own mind. The anxious partner learns to spot when their alarm bells are going off, and crucially, how to calm themselves down. The avoidant partner starts to learn that being vulnerable isn't a trap. It's actually the way to connection. And both of them learn what we call pragmatic empathy, which is being able to truly understand where your partner is coming from without getting lost in their world. And that brings us to the final pillar, collaborative skills. This is where the real magic happens. It's where the couple stops being opponents and starts being a team. The relationship itself transforms into a safe harbor, a secure base for both of them to heal. This takes radical transparency and a real commitment to what's called interactive repair, which is just the skill of fixing things quickly and effectively when you get disconnected. So after all this hard, intentional work, what's the payoff? What's the reward? In a word, integration. It means you're no longer being driven by those wounded younger parts of yourself. Instead, your wise, healthy adult self is finally in the driver's seat. And when that integrated adult self takes the wheel, it brings all these incredible qualities with it. We're talking about compassion, curiosity, real clarity, a sense of creativity and calm, confidence, courage, and true connectedness. You stop reacting from a place of fear, and you start responding from a place of genuine strength and wisdom. And really, this is the ultimate prize. For the anxious partner, it's finally finding that stable ground inside themselves. They no longer need that constant reassurance from someone else. And for the avoidant partner, they discover something profound. That real safety isn't in hiding away. It's found in the courage of letting someone truly see you and truly know you. What this whole journey proves is that your past, it doesn't have to be your destiny. Your programming isn't permanent. These patterns can be understood. They can be unwound. And with real, intentional effort, they absolutely can be changed. So the question I want to leave you with is this. Knowing what you know now, what kind of relationship, what kind of secure bond are you going to build in the present?
Hi, I'm John, and this is I Will Heal. Our curriculum features something for everyone. We know that your pathway to attachment transformation is specific to your parent. Whether you're an FA with a BA partner or an AP recently discarded by a BA, we have you covered. Say for a while, and we hope you'll say, even if for the first time, I will heal.